Welcome to the Gwenton Show. Today we've got an amazing episode for you. Today we're going to be looking at unsung heroes. A lot of the time we get people come onto the show and it's burning topics, whether it's the topic of the week or someone needs to air a concern of something that's happened to them across the week or the months. But today we're going to be talking about Juliet Coley. Yes, you heard me. The unsung hero, Hackney born. Yep, like myself, not born, but Hackney people. So, we love it. Representing home and all. Some people love their football team. We love each other from Hackney. We're not from East, we're from Hackney. Juliet's been in the education at senior level for over 21 years and fighting for young men and women within the educational system. And that's something that I've seen firsthand going into Glasmore School and watching her work tirelessly against the system to make sure that the young people leave there with an education and not get killed on the streets. And she's gone outside of the school and into the community, and she's also a trustee of an anti-knife crime charity where they support young people across London and beyond to put the knives down and learn how to love each other. A lot of teachers, they do that in the school. And once 3 o'clock comes, or even 4, pushing it, they're gone home. They don't care about anyone again. But Julia is someone that goes above and beyond. I remember I met her some years ago when I was doing the knife crime program in Glasmore with a few pretend bad boys in there. And she sent the young people over. And once she walked past, they were quiet in the class. And we didn't see each other again for a very long time until 2022, I decided that I was going to return to Hackney and run for mayor. And again, she started dealing with me like I was one of her pupils, telling me how to run the race and everything else. But for me, it wasn't about winning and becoming the mayor of Hackney. It was about more empowering the young people. And some of my old friends that's still out there on the street pretending to be gangsters, drug dealers and robber men and women. Because we have to remember that we've got female counterparts that are just as dangerous as their male counterparts in there. But she doesn't stop there. She goes as far as Ghana, in Accra, doing her philanthropy work over there and supporting the people in Ghana and beyond. So we are going to make sure that she gets her flowers publicly. Because a lot of the time, people do a lot of work behind the scenes and play it down. The other day was down the Hackney Empire, where she had 4 schools working together around Windrush and coming together and talking about some of our past heroes and legends. Some of them come from Hackney and beyond. I remember I met a 92-year-old grandma down there who worked in the nursing industry after coming from the Caribbean. I also met a legendary bus driver who said when he got off the plane in Gatwick, he had to walk through the bushes. Yes, people, you heard me, the bushes. There weren't no cart bringing you to the other end of the terminal. They had to walk through the bushes. So let's take in some Juliet Coley.
These streets, when I'm feeling down, remind me of a time when my life was on solid ground. And as I look forward now, there are places I remember how we used to hang and mess around. We used to shop at the corner store. The streets was good and not to more. I wonder what they're fighting for. Don't forget about what you've heard. Don't forget about what you see. We found
They could never do that, because we're stronger together. If they ever knew that, then they would join us, cause they know that they could never spoil us. We've been reading books, education, got our voice up, so travel with us. Go on family, get your oyster. We're on a mission with a vision, it's a trust bus. London town's where we're from, and listen to the song, man. Unity's what we're on, fam.
Fades away and the skies are gray. Wondering what is this feeling? Need something tangible to believe in. I can't explain it. No.
Don't know what you heard, it's to spread the word.
The places keeps us all dreaming. This is no way we explain the meaning.
Bet you're listening now. There is love in my hometown.
This is the reason we wrote this song. Yeah, there is
Love in my hometown.
love. The dream is here for you and me.
This is a song for London. Everybody dream. I dream. You dream. We dream. Let's go.
Reach to build your memories. Treasure that is free.
The dream is here for you and me. There is love in my town. There is love. Forget about what you heard. Forget about what you see. We found a place to be. Everybody dream.
There is love in my hometown. There is love. There is love.
Are you listening now?
Beyond reach.
We feel the dream.
Take a side.
If we believe. Are you listening now? Are you listening now? Are you listening now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't forget about what you've heard. Don't forget about what you've seen. We found a place to be where everybody dreams.
So now we're going to have a look at some of Juliet's books.
Get out! I stopped the lesson for the third time and was not prepared to do it again. Eddie Maynard just sat there. You need to move, and you need to move fast, because you're wasting my time and the class's time. Eddie kissed his teeth and started to rise from his seat. I stood still, seething, as I watched him, ever so slowly, take his time. Patience, Jules, patience, I was telling myself, because what I wanted to do was drag him by the jumper and shove him outside. He finally exited the classroom and I continued to teach. Ever so often, I could hear a kicking sound and the classroom door would open and close. I knew it was Eddie and I was starting to get irritated. By the fourth time, I had had enough. I walked over to the door and caught him on his fifth attempt to disrupt. "Move from my door, Eddie." "Make me," he replied. "Don't make me make you, Eddie, 'cause you won't like it." My voice was serious. My tone was deadly, and his foot was still jammed between the door and the hinge. "I'm going to count to 3, I continued. Damn, I thought. Why did I say that? The whole class was now watching this soap opera unfold, and if Eddie didn't move his foot, what was I going to do next? 1, I said loudly and measured. Oh, God, help me, I thought. Make it move him foot, please, God. 2, we were now staring each other out, but his foot was showing no signs of shifting. Oh, no, come on, Lord, do this for me, please, I silently begged. Make him move him foot. 3, I shouted, and simultaneously his foot moved. Hallelujah! Thank you, Jesus, I silently screamed. I joined Eddie outside in the corridor. He began walking towards the isolation room. Don't play with me, boy. Do that again and you're in trouble. Big time, I shouted down the corridor. He turned. Oh, shut your mouth, you fat bitch, he yelled. I was frozen. Bitch? Maybe. But fat? Wah! I saw red and instantly began to chase him. No! He shouted as I got closer and was ready to jump him. Not you, miss! And pointed behind me. Her! I swiftly looked around and there behind us, past the classroom, saw Josephine, a large, fat, Year 10 student, sticking her fingers up at Eddie. I ground to a halt. Oh my God. Me and my temper, I whispered to myself. I nearly lost it. I swiftly headed back to my class, who by now had flooded into the corridor. Trying to regain my composure, I shooed them back into the room. As they exited at the end of the lesson, I could hear their comments. Summarised, it was how the action outside the room was more exciting than Macbeth, the text we had been reading. Note to self. 1, don't make threats you can't keep. 2, think before you do. And 3, lose at least 2 stone. Puss and Dog no have the same luck. What works for one might not work for another. I was convinced that some of the male students joining the school midterm from Eastern Europe were slightly older. Actually, very much older than they declared. Gibaldi was one that raised my suspicions. The fact that at 13 years old, he was close to 6 foot in height and had a very deep baritone voice was definitely a clue. An even bigger one came on my birthday. Happy birthday, miss, he said in his best English, and smiled shyly and stood by my door. Why, thank you, Gibaldi, I smiled back. He then placed an awkwardly wrapped package and a card on my desk. Oh, wow, you shouldn't have spent your money on me. That wasn't necessary. You nice teacher, he replied and stood by my desk still smiling. I took that as my cue to open the gift and the card. I removed the card from the envelope. Happy Anniversary was the bold headline across the top. I laughed. It's birthday, Gibaldi, not anniversary, I tried to explain. Happy birthday, miss, he repeated. He doesn't have a clue what I'm saying. I laughed to myself and began to open the gift. Inside was a see-through top. A very, very see-through top. I looked at Gibaldi. He was now grinning. I said out loud, You like? Gibaldi asked. Very nice, but not nice for miss. I tried to be gentle. Very nice for miss, Gibaldi confirmed, as his hands did an outline of large breasts. Ugh, I thought. I know about hormones, but no way was this boy 13. You know you nicked the card from George's shop, miss? Nadia, a fellow student, confirmed. It's the first one he grabbed. That's why it says anniversary. She laughed. And the top? I inquired. Oh, that was his mum's. It has a little top thingy that goes underneath it. But Gibaldi said you look nicer without it. By now, Nadia was in hysterics. Ugh, I shuddered. This is bad. So bad. I summoned Gibaldi to my office and met him by the door. In my hands, I held the see-through top. You like? Gibaldi repeated with a wide grin and that pervy tone. I'm afraid not, I said honestly, but I know someone who does. He looked confused. I opened my office door and yelled inside, "Mrs. Carvonio, you like? Yes?" Gibaldi's mother approached the door and grabbed her top. She was furious. Gibaldi was in shock. She began speaking at speed in Kosovan. I couldn't translate, but someone was in big trouble. Big time, I thought. I like? Yes, I like. I like that very much. Yashirk manhan, Yunashirkim heart. Appearances can be deceiving. Jeremy's experience was different. I stood by his hospital bed while he slept, staring at the bandages neatly taped around his left wrist. He was a grade 9 student, gentle, sweet-natured, naturally gifted and highly intelligent. His mother had been in my office an hour before, crying on my shoulder. He had swallowed bleach, a bottle of paracetamol, and slit his wrist. 3 thoughts flashed through my head. 1. Boy, he really wanted to end his life. 2. Why? 3. My GCSE results are going to go down. Shit. I couldn't believe I'd thought about exam results at a time like this. Oh, Lord, that's bad. Really bad. Oh, God, what kind of person does that make me? Jeremy looked so vulnerable, asleep in the hospital bed. I knew suicide is the biggest killer of men under 45, but I'd never imagined teenage boys in that statistic. The image of the life-size sculptures standing at the edge of the roof of the ITN building in London flashed through my mind. It was a campaign to raise awareness of the men who died through suicide each week. I tried to shake it off. He had such a big future ahead of him, so much to look forward to, so much to experience. How could he throw that all away? How could he be so selfish? He slowly opened his eyes. He looked up at me and Gideon, the senior teacher who had driven me to the hospital. He looked embarrassed. In my role, I have to make quick decisions as to how I handle situations. Do I tread softly, softly? Do I play the good cop? Do I play the bad cop? Oh, God, I didn't want to make things worse, but I was vexed. Jeremy was a smart lad. He knew better. How could things have got so bad to end up like this? Why didn't he talk to someone? I decided to take the bull by the horns and speak to him straight. No beating around the bush. Well, well, well. Glad to see you've decided to wake up, I began sarcastically. Gideon stared at me in shock. Jules, he began. I ignored him. So did you decide today you were going to kill yourself, or was it planned? I probed. Jules! Gideon exclaimed. Jeremy spoke. I'm sorry, miss, he said softly. Sorry? Sorry you're here? Sorry your mum found you? Sorry I'm not going to tell your mates you're gone? Sorry not all lighting candles in assembly for you next week? Stop it, Jules, Gideon said sharply. Jeremy, we're glad you're okay, aren't we, miss? Gideon looked over at me, waiting for me to turn back into an adult. I was silent. I was too mad, too angry to respond. I'm sorry, miss, Jeremy repeated. You're right. What I did was selfish. I didn't think about anyone else, and I should have. Tears began to fall from his face. I walked over to his bed and gave him a hug. I'm really sorry, miss, he repeated for the 3rd time. I'm sorry too, I replied. Once the nurse had checked his vitals, Gideon went to get a coffee and we talked. I told him in 5 years' time he'd have his A-levels, a degree under his belt, be in a great job and in a position to make choices that would significantly improve his life. I wanted to know why he tried to kill himself, but I was too scared to ask. I didn't need to. He opened up and explained the reason for his dramatic course of action. He said he felt isolated because he found it really hard coming to terms with his feelings. He felt he was a girl, even though he'd been brought up a boy. He said he'd tried to fight against his feelings for a long time because he knew how upset his mother and family would be, but he wished he could change his body to look more like the way he was feeling inside. I was gobsmacked. This was a first for me. However, I realised that more important than my shock was this tormented, scared young man. I held his hand and told him not to worry. We'd work this out and I'd get support for both him and his family, but his priority was to get better and out of hospital. Foul, him not pray for feather, him pray for him life. Don't be discouraged by setbacks. Concentrate on the main goal. I was stopped by a parent in the supermarket who told me not to tell off my youngest son, who was in year 5, for being placed in timeout 2 days in a row because her daughter said that it was the other boy's fault for picking on him. I was dumbstruck. How is it a random parent who recognises me picking my fruit and veg is telling me about the school punishing my son? What planet was I on? When I got home, I sat my son down and he told me about a boy in his class who kept throwing pencils at him, and he got angry and threw one back. He said he was told off and placed in timeout because the other boy had special needs, so he should have been more understanding. I was fuming. What should you do if you're told off by a teacher or placed in timeout? I asked. Tell you, he said contritely. You may get in trouble, but you must always be honest, I reminded him. I'm going to contact your teacher so I can meet with her to have a chat about this. Okay? Yes, Mum. I emailed the school for an appointment and sat in front of his teacher a day later. She was stuttering. She knew I was also a teacher. The meeting was less than 10 minutes and I was professional and to the point. If my son misbehaves in her class and has to be punished, I support that, but I want to know about it so I can speak to him and support with his behaviour. I do not want to hear it first from a parent in a supermarket, so I would appreciate a letter in his bag, posted home, or an email. I told her that my son enjoys school and is learning, and if something's hindering that, I'd like to know about it so I can support. His teacher looked relieved and relaxed when she realised I was there to support. She admitted there was an issue with the other student and had asked the senior leaders in the school to intervene. I had no intention of going to war with this woman. She was with my son 6 hours a day, and right or wrong, it was in my interest that she liked him. At the end of each term, she'd get a card and some chocolates from me and loved my gesture. I'd say that's a £5 well spent. As I mentioned earlier, it's important that you know what is going on when it comes to your child and school. Below, as a starting point, are 20 questions you can ask your child when they come home, which should give you a better picture of their day, and if there are any concerns, you can pick them up through your developing conversation. 1. What did you enjoy most about your day? 2. Rate your day from 1 to 10. Why did you pick that number? 3. Who did you play with today? 4. What was something silly that happened today? 5. What new word did you learn today? 6. Did the teacher ask you to answer a question? What was it? 7. What did you eat for lunch? 8. If you could switch seats with anyone in your class, who would you trade with? Why? 9. What did you read today? Can you relate to any of the characters? 10. What made you laugh today? 11. Did anyone cry? 12. How did your friends make you feel today? Was anyone not nice to someone? 13. What exciting thing did you learn today? 14. What didn't you like about your day? 15. What did you do that was creative? What made you feel proud? 16. Is there anything that a teacher taught you that you don't understand? 17. Did you ever feel unsafe? 18. What made your teacher smile? Did anything make her frown? 19. Were there any guests that came to your class today? What did they do? 20. How do you feel that you did today? Why? I know everything soak up water a sponge. Scrutinize carefully before making decisions. Carter was one of those smarty pants students that knew who and who not to mess with. He was a cover teacher's nightmare and would purposely play up or play the innocent, so they did not know whether they were coming or going. Young new teachers were also a good target for Carter and his mind games, which he more often than not got away with. His new teacher, Miss Ben, came to see me to voice her concerns. "Can I have a word?" she asked as she popped her head around the door. "Sure, grab a seat," I replied and stopped typing. "It's little Carter," she began and started to shudder. She placed his open exercise book on my desk. "Homework last week was a scripted piece of writing using SOPAMs and a minimum of 4 paragraphs. Start reading from paragraph 2, she said. Paragraph 2, okay. He places both of her hands in a tight grip above her head and presses her to the wall using his lips. His other hand grabs her hair and brings her face up, and his lips touch hers. His tongue slowly and softly strokes. Whoa! I stopped suddenly and looked at Miss Ben. Exactly. Carter keeps grinning at me, asking if I've marked it yet, Miss Ben said, agitated. Did he write it? Hell no. He's done this to make me feel uncomfortable and has certainly succeeded. Are you sure this is not something he's heard or seen? Not unless he's got a subscription to the Fantasy Channel. Read the first line to me again, I requested. What? Just read it. I opened Google and began to type. What are you doing? What would your lecturer do at uni if they thought your work was plagiarised? Check it through Google. Exactly. Read on. Miss Ben reluctantly continued reading, and then I joined in. You're joking! Miss Ben yelled. Nope. I burst into a fit of laughter. That little sod has pulled this text from 50 Shades of Grey. You're joking! Miss Ben was furious. So what are we going to do about it? I grinned. Miss Ben stood in front of her Year 7 English group. Carter was sitting up straight with that smug smile on his face. We're starting with dirt time and your creative writing homework, Miss Ben announced. You have 10 minutes to respond to my feedback. Oh, and Miss Bremer took one book from this class pack to monitor my marking. So if yours is missing, you need to collect it from her office. Miss Ben gave the exercise books to 2 students to distribute. Carter began to look agitated as the pile began to reduce and he still hadn't got his book. Tonya handed the last book on her pile to Martell, then went back to her seat. Off you go, said Miss Ben. The students began to respond to the marking with their green pens. Carter sat quietly in his seat. Carter? Miss Ben called across the classroom. Why aren't you writing? She asked, knowing full well the answer. I don't have my book, Miss Ben, he said hesitantly. Oh, Miss Bremer must have picked yours to check my marking in your progress. Go and collect it from her office. Carter froze in his seat. Hurry up, Carter, you're missing dirt time. Miss Ben went up to his desk and shooed him towards the door. I could see Carter hovering outside my office, but not making a move to knock on my door. "Come in," I shouted, although there was no knock on the door. Carter sheepishly entered. "Hello, Carter," I said slowly, without looking up from my desk. "Sit down." Carter slowly sat in his seat. I could cut the fear oozing from his pores with a knife. Without looking up, I said, "I've left your exercise book with someone in reception. Please can you collect it and come straight back to me?" Carter flew out of his seat, relieved to get out of my office. Out of the frying pan, I thought. Yes, I'd left his book in reception with his mother. 3 minutes later, Carter and his mother both entered my office. "Thank you for being so patient, Miss Barrett," I said when they both sat down. "As I explained earlier, I have 2 concerns. The first, the content of his creative writing homework, which he was set last week. Would you like to read this to your mum, starting from paragraph 2? "No, miss," Carter said sharply. He was visibly embarrassed. "Why not, Carter?" I queried. Because it's a bit naughty," he stuttered. "But it's all right, Miss Ben, to read your naughty writing, Carter." "No, miss," Carter whispered quietly. "I have told your mum that writing like this from a school child is a concern and will have to be referred to our child protection officer, who may inform social services, who may want to investigate you and your family." Mum was silent. I told her when we met earlier how this meeting was going to pan out, and that she and Carter would have to have a conversation with our CP officer because of the content of the writing. She was furious with Carter, but kept quiet. Carter then piped up, "But it was a joke, miss." "You see anyone laughing?" I animatedly began looking around the room. "No, miss." My second concern is plagiarism, a lazy person's way of completing homework or research. When you cut and paste something from the net or copy something wholesale from a book or document, it's called plagiarism. Like your creative writing homework, Carter, students fail exams for committing plagiarism. It's cheating, Carter. You'll be spending lunchtime all this week with Miss Ben, completing your creative writing homework properly. Understood? "Yes, miss," Carter replied. "These newbies," I smiled. "They can be more than a handful than the older ones." Carter's mum finally spoke. "Thank you, Miss Bremer." She then turned to Carter as she was about to leave the office and whispered, "Child, you have social services to thank while you're still in one piece. Because right now, I just want to knock your block off." "How'd it go with Mum?" Miss Ben queried. Carter came in 10 minutes before the end of the lesson and looked very flushed, hot and bothered. She added, "Well, let's put it this way," I stated confidently. "Carter's in a whole heap of hot water right now. And that cheeky chappie has every good reason to be hot and very, very bothered." Quatty by trouble, £100 can't pay for. Little blunders can cause us to find ourselves in situations so complex that we cannot extricate ourselves.
Audio Jungle.
TJ was a miserable sod, face like a wet weekend, mouth push up like he'd overdosed on lemons. He also had a negative influence on his peers. Didn't like school, didn't like lessons, and he certainly didn't like exercise. He had decided and expressed his views very vocally with the group that he was not going to be mentored, and he definitely wasn't going to arrive at school willingly before 8 a.m. Well, I made it clear to his mum that he didn't have a choice, and he had been booked a place at the Last Chance Saloon and was on the list for alternative provision. Therefore, she was happy to support our endeavours to turn him around and ensured he was out the front door by 7 a.m. every Thursday morning. TJ was cool with that because for the second week running, he had purposely left his sports gear at home, so he would definitely not be participating. "That's a shame, TJ," Martin commented when TJ strolled in 15 minutes late and was explaining why he'd forgotten his kit. "Looks like you're going to be working up a sweat in your uniform today, mate," was Martin's response. "Get your socks and shoes off and start with 3 laps around the gym." Martin continued working on biceps with the rest of the group. TJ refused to move. Martin handed over the reins to a student, Tolga, who continued with the upper body exercises. He slowly walked towards TJ. Even though TJ was standing tall, Martin towered over him. "Is there a problem?" Martin asked TJ with feigned innocence, his deep tones eluding power and dominance. The boys stopped moving their arms, waiting to see the outcome of Martin versus TJ. I've got rights," TJ stuttered. "You can't make me." Martin began to laugh. The rich sound echoed across the sports hall. "Rights?" he repeated in his deep bass tone. "Rights?" He stood in front of TJ, slowly tapping his right hook in the palm of his left hand. His right biceps began to bulge. They were thicker than my 2 thighs. "Focus, Jules, focus." TJ stood still, trying to big up his chest, but the involuntary shake of his right leg didn't help his fake bravado. "You got rights?" "Rights, TJ? Are you mad, bruv? What rights have you got? I run this show. I've gone through a lot to get here and worked really hard. I've paid my dues. You ain't paid nothing, bruv. And until you do, you need to get those shoes and socks off and start your 3 laps. You get me?" I had never seen shoes and socks fly off feet so fast. Martin turned to the group, who quickly began to pick up the pace with their bicep curls. "You are all examples to somebody. Somebody is going to look up to you. What do you want them to see? Someone who's not ambitious? Someone's unreliable and lazy? No, you don't, guys. No, you don't. You're just learning. Take it in. You train, you get tired. Push yourself harder. You can do it. I'm here as your support. I will not fail you. So don't fail yourself. Can we step up our game, guys?" A whisper of, "Yes, sir," took on the ripple effect and became a loud ensemble. "Fall out!" Martin laughed and the boys followed suit excitedly, cracking up as they slowed down. One by one, they slapped Martin's palm and made their way to the showers. TJ, who by this time was sweating buckets in his school jumper, continued running in circles. "Give me some love, TJ," Martin beamed towards him. Acknowledging this as permission to stop, TJ broke off from his run and sheepishly walked towards Martin. He raised his shoulders in expectancy for a high five. Martin grabbed his shoulders, pulled him close and gave him a bear hug. "I love you, bruv," Martin declared loudly. I could have sworn I saw TJ give a partial smile. Yeah, that definitely was some form of smile. Rah, I thought, what a ting. Only Martin could rough up the boys like this and they would still listen and smile. Priceless. One hand, kia clap. You have to work together to reach a common goal. One person can't do it alone. I'd always wanted to teach, but I also wanted to be rich. So my ambition was put on the back burner while I sought fame and fortune. Most of you know that until you've achieved your burning desire, the fire is never extinguished. I was finally at peace when I was appointed to my first teaching post and officially became a real miss. What became evident in my first year was how things had changed so dramatically from when I was at school, or, as one child succinctly put it, in the olden days. By watching the students and sharing their lives, I began to realise how fortunate I had been as a kid. What I thought I'd hated about growing up and resented in my childhood had actually saved me from a life of destruction: religion, strict parenting, and a strong Caribbean family unit. So unlike today, I was a child who did not succumb to peer pressure. I learnt to hand wash and iron at an early age, mastered the art of making rice and peas in my teens, and my virginity was something to be proud of. I was brought up to believe that education carried value. It was important, and even though I thought university was for middle-class white children, my parents expected me to achieve the highest standards and grades. The Caribbean provides some valuable lessons we can pattern. No, not to beat your children, but to be their parents, not their mates, and to be clear and consistent with expectations. Hard ears pickney, walk to time, meaning a child who does not listen will learn the hard way. In my household, the language of my youth was peppered with Caribbean proverbs, wise words of wisdom designed to reprimand and educate, but more often than not, they amused. To this end, I've added for your pleasure some of my favourite phrases at the end of each episode. I've written 39 weeks, Life Behind the School Gates, for you to have an insight into my reality and of what goes on behind the school gates. It's set in a mixed comprehensive located in a deprived London borough and is written from my personal experience as a teacher of 20 years who is part of the school's senior leadership team. The educational backdrop when I started writing was that of concern regarding the achievement of Afro-Caribbean pupils, in particular boys. Many educationalists and professionals have strongly vocalised their opinions as to the reasons for this failure, but perhaps, after reading my book, you may take their comments with a slice of cake and custard and see that there are many factors affecting achievement. I hope my book, at best, makes you realise that not only in Africa should the village raise the child, but also in Hackney, Haringey, Handsworth or Harlem and your own backyard. I also hope my accounts will shock, shame, inform, amuse, but more importantly, make you take an active role in your child's schooling or in the education system. We need you as school governors, school helpers, or for you to dedicate a few hours to sporting classes, for example with pupils reading and with school trips. Respect is due to organisations like the Kyan Prince Foundation, One Teen, Soapbox TV, Manhood Academy Global, 100 Black Men of London, The Original Investigator, One Hand Can't Clap, Eastside Young Leaders Academy, Westside Young Leaders Academy, Mentor Kings, The King's Peace Treaty, Manhood Academy, The Solution Room, Father to Father, ICANN Project, the Black Child Agenda CIC, Alito Foundation, Ultra Education, National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, NABS, Diamond Enterprise School, The Forefront Project, Aspire Prep, Code 7, Super Kids, The Basement Dance Studios, Pray for London, Pray for Our Youth, The Manden, Steppers, Hood to Good, GANG, Sockbacoos, The Crib, The Safety Box, and Black Socks, who are already making a difference. There are so many groups, too many to mention here, which are doing fantastic work with our children, but you can check out the ones above on your social media platforms. Respect is also due to the professional organisations who are and have been committed to the professional development of BME teachers. Rosemary Campbell-Stevens, MBE, with her inspiring Investing in Diversity and pre-NPQH courses, and the Network for Black Professionals, along with Diane Abbott MP, who in 2002 brought the discourse to the fore with the London Schools and the Black Child Initiative. All this has definitely been a way forward. We cannot afford to lose our offspring to overflowing prisons, the gun and knife crime epidemic, the teenage pregnancy trend, and drug culture. We should turn off our TVs, unplug the Wii, PlayStation, Xbox, 360 Connect, switch off the Wi-Fi on our iPhones, smartphones and tablets, and spend quality time with our children. My prize investment is my dining table, where we sit daily as a family to share experiences, talk to each other and eat. being a teacher was the best decision I have ever made. Having seen Obama occupy the White House, I truly believe that in 10 years' time, I'll be sitting in my rocking chair surrounded by my grandchildren, and I'll switch on the television and listen to the British Prime Minister addressing the nation. And I'll be saying to my family, I taught her.
Let's have a look at some of the work Juliet done with those young people in the 4 schools across Hackney in the Hackney Empire.
I am glad to know my mother country. I've been traveling to countries years ago, but this the place I wanted to know. London, that's the place for me.
So not long to go. I'm very excited. We've got the children rehearsing, the choir, we've got the dancing, the carnival dancing. I'm really, really excited about this. I mean, to think, right, it's 75 years of Windrush, and for me, this is legacy. It's not only just history, it's world history. And the fact that I'm involved in this, writing this, it's just absolutely an honour. I mean, I was inspired by Flip Fraser's Black Hair in the Hall of Fame. You know, that inspired me back in the 80s. And to be able to go back to the Hackney Empire and do this in a different way, you know, celebrating and saluting our Windrush heroes is very exciting. All the schools, I mean, just to see the children's faces, to know, I mean, actually we went to the Hackney Empire for a rehearsal, and when they walked on the stage and looked out into the audience, the eyes were like, wow. For me, that was just, my heart was full. To know that Kofi's come in, and they're singing her opening and closing song, and she is just full with that. To know that these children for the first time are going to tread the boards on the Hackney Empire, where many famous people have been. I mean, when I was 12, just about walked down Dalston Ridley Road Market, much less at the Hackney Empire. It has been an absolute honour and pleasure. So, inside, final rehearsal, and then we're off to the Hackney Empire.
You're going to put your hands together and you're going to let every child in the Blossom Federation know that you love them, parents and carers, friends and family. So can you all make some noise and take the roof off?
Oh, please, please be upstanding for them. Please. Be upstanding for these children. They have blown me away. Guys, I don't have any voice no more. I've been screaming at you all the time. What are these pieces of paper? Help me out. Oh my God, they're asking for autographs. I will. Are we gonna sing? Are we gonna sing this song? I think. I don't know.
We're gonna. I'm not gonna sing the song. We're gonna sing the song.
I think we should get him to sing it.
Selector, no. If there's any singing, Natty Dreader, what she wants. Right. Selector, run the rhythm, play.
Okay, kids, you're gonna help me sing this song one more time. Come on. This is the sun, 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 sun. Ooh. Come on, kids. Trees are green. Wave your hand. Place that I've ever seen. Work so hard. You know the sea is so blue and calm. And they're so proud of what they've done. Working here, what you call a lot. But they're still having so much fun. I'll give anything. One more, kids. For that place in the sun. For that place in the sun. They left that place in the sun. For that place in the sun. Sing it. What do we feel? Feel so proud Sing it. Yeah, yeah. But what they have is what you see. They don't have much money, no friends and things, but still they're happy. So much fun again. Anything for that place in the sun. Yeah, yeah, for that place in the sun. Sing it. Place in the sun. Yeah, for that place in the sun. Come on. Place in the sun, yeah. For that place in the sun. Come on. Ooh, I'm going there. Can't you see? No one's gonna stop me. Come on. Woo! I will. Please, 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 beat one more time. Give it up for these amazing, our future, all of them.
This young lady is retired, believe it or not. But she's not staying at home. She's not doing word searches. She's not playing all those little games on her phone. No, I'm not lying. Now, Miss works on many, many, many initiatives, one of them being the Hackney School Group Board, of which Miss is a chair. And Miss is very driven to improve outcomes for our most disadvantaged children. Okay, make some noise for Miss, yeah. Can we get someone to take care of the elders for us, yeah? Now, I'm going to be really frank and honest with you. At some point, 2 years, 18 months ago, I received what I describe as a random email. Dear Gregory, you know, I hear lovely things about you, but I wanted to come along and support the Rastaman head teacher. And to her credit, Miss came along last academic year, worked with some of our year sixes to help them to achieve standard in reading and stuff. She also helped to put on the Black History Month performance last year this time. And anyone who works professionally will know that the reward for good work is more work. So this year, Miss has led on this amazing, wonderful production. So please, can you make some noise for the one and only Juliet Coley. Thank you, Juliet. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, people, so you've seen the episode and you've seen about her wonderful books and some of the amazing stuff that she's doing to empower young people back into reading and writing. What more could we say apart from thanks? And for those of you out there, unsung heroes, you never know when it's going to be your turn on The Gwenton Show. Stay blessed. Till next time.